Okay, this section today is just combining all the different types of figures to name what kind it is. So remember, we did parallelograms. So on a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles add up to 180. So these two add up to 180, these two, and these two. And if you draw the diagonals in, the diagonals bisect each other. So this piece would equal this one, and this one would equal that one. Okay? Then we learned the three types of special parallelograms: a square, a rhombus, and a rectangle. So everything that is true here is true here. Opposite sides are both parallel and congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles add up to 180, and the diagonals bisect each other. So what's different, or what's extra on a square and a rhombus, is the sides are also congruent. All four sides the same. And another thing that's different is in a square, they not only bisect each other like here, they're perpendicular and they're all the same. So on a rhombus, they bisect each other, but they're not all the same. They're just perpendicular. You can see this one is shorter than that one. Okay? And then the angles, the diagonals bisect these angles. They cut them into so they're all 45s. And on a rhombus, the diagonals bisect these two. So these two would equal each other, and these two would equal each other. Okay? The rectangle, the only thing added different from a parallelogram is the diagonals aren't perpendicular like these two, but they are all the same length. So those are the properties you need to know for them. And then we did a kite. So in a kite, these two sides are equal, and these two. These two angles are equal. And if you draw in the diagonals, they're perpendicular, and this gets bisected like that. And these angles get bisected. Then the last one was a trapezoid. Trapezoid only has one thing. It has exactly one set of sides that are parallel. That's the only thing that's true in a trapezoid. Now, if it is an isosceles trapezoid, it's got one extra thing that's true. Everyone remember what it is? Yep, the two legs are the same. So it still has just one set of parallel sides, and the two legs are the same. So today It's just, you're gonna identify what the figure is by what they tell you, or what the figure has. So, here they say use the most specific name. This is a parallelogram, but it's not the most specific. Rhombus would be the best. So remember, the other names you could call it are a polygon. You could call it a quadrilateral. You could call it a parallelogram, but rhombus is the best name. Best name for this? Rectangle.
A rectangle.
Now this one is on the test. It's kind of hard to see, but these are the little arrows, which means they're parallel. Isosceles triangle, or a trapezoid. Okay? So make sure you put that it's isosceles. There's one like this when we take the test, which will be later this week.
Oh, no.
If you just call it a trapezoid, that's not the best name, so make sure you call it isosceles trapezoid. Okay, a quadrilateral has diagonals that are not congruent. What types of quadrilaterals could that be? A kite? Trapezoid? A rectangle? They are congruent. Rhombus. Those are the three that could have diagonals that are not congruent. Okay, we don't need to do that one. So in this one, here you can see that this angle is bisected and so is that, and so are these two. Rhombus would probably be the best name for that. A square is possible, but the reason why we wouldn't say square is because these have 2 marks and these have 1, which means they're not the same. Okay? We just answered that one. Okay, so we got a real easy assignment today.